Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and thank you for joining me once again as we dive deep into the incredible world of rare coins, surprising minting mistakes, and extraordinary stories hidden inside the smallest pieces of metal that millions of people handle every single day without ever realizing that some of these ordinary-looking coins have the potential to be worth life-changing amounts of money. And today's focus is on one of the most astonishing cases of an unassuming coin turning into a multi-million-dollar treasure, the mysterious, rare, and error-packed 1998 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors, experts, and everyday hobbyists by reaching an unbelievable value of up to $3 million due to an extraordinary combination of minting mistakes, striking anomalies, production irregularities, and highly improbable circumstances that came together in such a unique way that they created a coin unlike almost any other. And in this script we will take you on a detailed journey that explores exactly what makes this specific 1998 penny so valuable, why collectors chase it with such passion, what kinds of errors could push its worth to the multi-million-dollar level, and why the possibility of such a coin existing keeps treasure hunters around the world searching through their pocket change, looking through old jars of pennies, and examining every little detail under magnifying glasses in hopes of identifying one of these multi-million-dollar treasures. Because the truth is that the U.S. Mint, even with its highly advanced machinery, extremely precise minting processes, and strict quality control, still occasionally produces coins with mistakes so significant that they accidentally create extreme rarities, and the 1998 penny story is one of those incredible cases where a simple copper-plated zinc coin suddenly transforms into an artifact of extraordinary worth. So let's begin by breaking down the types of errors that experts believe could elevate a 1998 penny to such astronomical value, starting with double die obverse errors, where the design elements such as the date, the letters in Liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," or the details of Lincoln's portrait appear doubled because of slight misalignment or repunching during the die creation process, and when a doubling effect is dramatic, crisp, and noticeable without needing extremely specialized tools, the value can skyrocket because collectors crave clear, bold doubling, and since 1998 already had well-known double die varieties including those involving the letters and even the memorial building details on the reverse in some cases, a hypothetical strong 1998 double die obverse with dramatic separation could easily command extraordinary value if it were a previously unknown or extremely rare variety, especially if only one or two such pieces were confirmed to exist, but doubling alone cannot push the price tag into multimillion-dollar territory unless combined with other unique characteristics, such as a major transitional error, and one of the possibilities that experts have discussed involves the extremely rare chance of a 1998 penny being struck on the wrong planchet, for example on a leftover brass planchet from 1982 or even on a foreign coin planchet used for international contract coinage. And when a U.S. coin is struck on a foreign planchet or on a leftover metal type that was not intended for that year's production, the rarity level becomes exceptionally high, because these mistakes are typically caught during production, but on the very rare occasions they escape into circulation, they become some of the most valuable errors in all of numismatics, and a 1998 penny struck on a 95% copper planchet instead of the standard copper-plated zinc composition would show a different weight, different ring tone, and slightly different color and would be considered a transitional anomaly, which always draws intense attention from collectors. And there are cases such as 1943 coppers and 1944 steels proving that transitional errors can reach astronomical values, so if a 1998 penny were accidentally minted this way and authenticated with absolute certainty, its unique nature could propel its value into the multi-million-dollar range. While another possibility involves striking pressure and major off-center errors combined with a full date and mint mark, which collectors absolutely love because an off-center coin that still retains a complete date and mint mark is highly desirable, and the more dramatic the off-center strike, the rarer the piece becomes, especially if the misalignment is clean, bold, and includes visible parts of the design that normally do not appear on error coins, and if such a mistake happened on a 1998 penny simultaneously with a die break, die crack, or massive cut forming along the rim, it would create a one-of-a-kind specimen that collectors would consider priceless. And then there is the possibility of a mule error, one of the rarest and most valuable minting mistakes in existence, occurring when the obverse of one denomination is paired with the reverse die of another denomination entirely, something that almost never happens, but when it does, the value explodes because it proves a near impossible minting anomaly slipped past quality control. And if somehow the Denver Mint accidentally paired a 1998 D penny obverse die with the reverse die of either another cent variation or a completely different denomination such as a dime planchet or an experimental design test die, the result would be a coin so rare that its value could easily exceed several $1,000,000, especially if authenticated by top grading services. And speaking of grading, a coin like this reaching a grade of MS68 or higher with full red luster, minimal surface contact, no obvious flaws, and blazing mint brilliance would command even higher value because when error coins combine both rarity in the mistake and extremely high preservation quality, the price climbs dramatically, and this is one reason collectors are always searching uncirculated rolls, sealed mint sets, and dealer stockpiles hoping to uncover a gem that has survived untouched since 1998, and considering how many pennies the Denver Mint produced that year, billions, in fact, the challenge of finding the rare multimillion-dollar variety becomes like searching for a needle in an astronomical haystack, which is exactly why its value becomes so incredible when one of these rare specimens appears, and beyond doubling, transitional errors, wrong planchets, mule pairings, and dramatic striking anomalies, another category of mint mistakes that could push a 1998 D penny into the multimillion-dollar range includes multi-strikes, where the same coin is struck 2 or 3 times, sometimes rotated between strikes, creating bizarre overlapping designs, misaligned impressions, and unusual phantom images that collectors find mesmerizing. And if such a multi-struck 1998 D penny occurred on an off-metal planchet or alongside a major die clash where the obverse and reverse dies hit each other without a planchet in between and transferred their images onto each other, the uniqueness increases exponentially, and this combination of factors could create the ultimate rarity. And we can also explore the possibility of a rare prototype or test strike coin, sometimes called a die trial, where the mint experiments with adjustments, polishing, detail refinements, or slight modifications to the dies, meaning that the test pieces often differ subtly or dramatically from the final production version, and most of these test strikes are destroyed, but on extremely rare occasions one escapes into circulation or gets improperly released, instantly making it one of the rarest coins of its entire year's production. So a 1998 D die trial penny with unusual surface texture, missing details, experimental finishes, or slight design differences would be considered unbelievably valuable by collectors, and if authenticated, its one-of-a-kind nature could easily justify the $3 million valuation, especially when combined with strong demand from collectors looking for pieces with historical significance. While another area of interest lies in die deterioration and feeder finger scrapes that appear on some pennies from the late 1990s, where machine parts accidentally scrape or press against the planchet or die, leaving deep, unusual lines across the coin, often mistaken for scratches but actually part of the minting process, and while typical feeder finger scrapes are not particularly valuable, a deeply dramatic and perfectly authenticated scrape pattern combined with another major error could increase value significantly because collectors appreciate coins that tell a story of the mechanical process that created them, and when these stories are unique, the value soars. And on top of all these possibilities, experts also consider the extremely rare and dramatic phenomenon of a full brockage strike, an error where a previously struck coin adheres to one die and then stamps its mirror image into the next planchet, creating a coin with an incuse and reverse design on one side, and when a brockage is complete, bold, and undisturbed. Next 2014 1-cent coin, to the channel, and thank you for tuning in once again as we dive into another extraordinary story from the world of rare coins, a world where small mistakes turn into massive treasures and where a simple everyday penny that most people overlook without a second thought can sometimes be worth life-changing amounts of money. And today we are exploring one of the most fascinating, mysterious, and shockingly valuable modern coins ever discussed by collectors, the 2014 1-cent coin that has stunned the numismatic community with reports of rare error varieties that could push its value up to an unbelievable $2 million, and in this script we will take you on a deep journey through the possibilities, the minting mistakes, the rare circumstances, the unusual production events, and the hidden anomalies that could transform an ordinary 2014 penny into a multimillion-dollar treasure. So sit back and relax as we break down the complex web of errors ranging from dramatic double dies, extreme off-center strikes, wrong planchet mistakes, die clashes, feeder finger scrapes, multi-strike errors, transitional anomalies, and even the extremely rare mule combinations that collectors dream about but almost never get to see in real life, because the truth is that the US Mint produces billions of pennies a year, and even with the most advanced machinery and highly controlled processes, errors still slip through, and sometimes those errors are so unique and so dramatic that they create one-of-a-kind rarities worth thousands or even millions of dollars, and today we explore how a 2014 penny could fall into that once-in-a-generation category of extreme rarity, starting with the idea that the 2014 penny may contain dramatic double die errors where the details of Lincoln's portrait, the date, the letters in Liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust" appear duplicated, shifted, or spread due to misalignment during the die creation process, and while minor doubling is fairly common in modern coins, a dramatic double die with bold separation that can be seen clearly without magnification would immediately elevate the rarity and desirability of a 2014 penny, especially if it becomes known as a unique major doubling variety, because collectors always chase dramatic double dies like the famous 1955, 1969, yes, and 1972 varieties that have changed the landscape of numismatics, but doubling alone might not push a 2014 penny into multimillion-dollar territory unless it carries additional unique features, one of which could be a wrong planchet error, perhaps one of the rarest and most valuable categories of minting mistakes where the coin is struck on a planchet that was never intended for that year or that denomination, and while the modern penny uses copper-plated zinc planchets, it is possible, although extremely rare, for a 2014 penny to have been struck on a leftover pure copper planchet, a foreign coin planchet, or even a planchet intended for a dime or another denomination, and such mistakes have occurred in other years and have sold for enormous amounts of money at major auctions, because these transitional or off-metal errors are incredibly rare and almost always become headline-making discoveries, and a wrong planchet 2014 penny weighing more or less than the standard 2.5 grams could attract intense collector demand, pushing its value sky-high, while another highly valuable category involves off-center strikes where the coin is struck significantly away from the center, producing blank crescent-shaped gaps along the rim, and collectors especially love off-center pennies that still show the full date and mint mark clearly, because that combination greatly increases rarity, and if a 2014 penny were struck 60, 70, or even 80% off-center while still displaying the full date, such a coin could instantly become a major rarity, and if this off-center strike were paired with a second error like a die crack, die break, or dramatic cud, where part of the die breaks and produces a raised blob of metal on the coin, it would make the coin even more unique, increasing its potential value dramatically, and then we move to another class of extremely rare errors, the mule errors, which occur when the obverse and reverse dies used to strike the coin come from different denominations or different designs entirely, creating a mismatched pairing that almost never happens, but when it does, the resulting coin becomes one of the most valuable minting errors in history, and if somehow a 2014 penny was mistakenly struck with the obverse die of a cent and the reverse die of another denomination, such as a dime or even a design test die, the coin would be instantly recognized as a monumental rarity capable of reaching multimillion-dollar value, especially if authenticated by major grading companies and confirmed to be the only example known to exist, and closer to typical but still extremely valuable are multiple strike errors where the coin is struck more than once, sometimes rotated between strikes, causing overlapping images that can be visually dramatic and incredibly desirable among collectors, and if a 2014 penny experienced multiple strikes along with a wrong planchet or an off-center strike, it would become a numismatic sensation attracting huge auction bids. While yet another extremely valuable possibility involves die clashes where the obverse and reverse dies strike against each other without a planchet between them, transferring parts of the design onto opposite sides of the coin and creating ghost-like images that collectors love for their uniqueness and dramatic appearance, and while minor die clashes are somewhat common, a major die clash on a 2014 penny that produces strong, clear impressions of Lincoln's profile or the shield design in places they do not belong could easily make it a highly valuable piece, especially if combined with other errors, while die polishing errors, feeder finger marks, and improperly annealed planchets could also contribute to making a coin extremely rare, because the mint sometimes aggressively polishes dies to remove clash marks, which can accidentally eliminate design details from the coin, creating missing elements, ghost details, or unusually smooth areas where details should exist, and collectors find these anomalies fascinating, particularly when they occur on newer coins where such dramatic die polishing is rarer. And a 2014 penny missing parts of the shield design, missing letters, or showing unusually faint features due to overpolishing could become a major discovery, especially if the error is bold and unique, while another dramatic category of error involves brockage strikes where one already struck coin sticks to a die and then impresses its design, backward and in use, onto the next coin struck, producing a mirrored ghost image on one side, and complete brockages with full detail are extremely rare and highly valuable, and if a 2014 penny featured a full brockage combined with a mint-fresh uncirculated state and a unique die condition, it could easily elevate its value to extraordinary levels, pushing it into the $2 million range, especially given the growing collector demand for modern-era coins. And speaking of condition, one crucial factor that can turn an already rare error into a multi-million-dollar piece is its grade, because if a 2014 penny with one or more dramatic errors were preserved in near-perfect condition, such as mint state 68 or higher, with flawless surfaces, full luster, and no signs of wear or handling, it would command far more value than the same error coin in a lower grade, as collectors often pay staggering premiums for high-grade modern errors due to their scarcity and desirability, and when a coin combines extreme rarity with extreme condition, the value can go through the roof. And another important factor that drives prices upward is the uniqueness of the error, because even though billions of pennies were minted in 2014, the vast majority are perfectly ordinary, making rare dramatic errors incredibly scarce, and when a single example of a rare error is found, whether a mule, wrong planchet, dramatic off-center strike, multi-strike, major die clash, or extreme double die, it becomes a one-of-a-kind specimen that collectors will pay almost anything to own, especially investors looking for the next big auction record, and this scarcity drives bidding wars that push prices into the millions, and part of what makes the 2014 penny so intriguing is that it belongs to the Shield Reverse series that began in 2010, a modern era with fewer known high-value errors compared to earlier decades, meaning that dramatic mistakes from this period are far more unusual, and that rarity alone adds to the excitement, because collectors know that finding extreme modern errors is like finding a needle buried deep inside a mountain of coins produced with near-perfect precision, which makes the discovery of any major error from 2014 even more thrilling. And another fascinating possibility is the existence of a prototype or experimental finish penny struck in 2014, because the mint sometimes tests new dies, new finishes, or new metal compositions, and occasionally these trial pieces escape into circulation by accident. Next 2016 D1 cent coin, the channel, and thank you so much for joining me again as we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, shocking minting mistakes, and unbelievable stories hiding inside the smallest and most overlooked pieces of money that pass through our hands every single day without us ever imagining that one tiny cent could be worth a fortune. And today's topic is one of the most exciting modern discoveries that continues to capture the imagination of collectors and treasure hunters everywhere, the astonishing 2016 D1 cent coin that has been discussed in numismatic circles for its potential to be worth up to $1 million when it carries rare and dramatic minting errors, and in this extremely detailed, fully immersive, single-paragraph deep dive we are going to explore every possibility, every type of error, every striking anomaly, every accidental minting event, every die state condition, and every extraordinary factor that could contribute to making a 2016 D penny so valuable that collectors would be willing to pay life-changing amounts of money to own it, because even though billions of 2016 D pennies were minted at the Denver Mint using state-of-the-art machinery and modern technology, mistakes still happen, and sometimes those mistakes are so extreme, so unusual, and so visually dramatic that they create a one-of-a-kind specimen worth more than houses, cars, or even some luxury estates, proving once again that hidden treasures can appear in the most unexpected places, starting with one of the most widely discussed possibilities among experts and collectors, the double die obverse or reverse, because although modern double dies are less common than older varieties, the possibility that a strong, bold, spread-out doubling exists on a 2016 D penny still excites collectors. especially if the doubling affects major design elements such as the letters in Liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," the date 2016, or critical parts of the shield reverse, and if such doubling is dramatic and crisp enough to be seen with the naked eye and not just under magnification, the value could skyrocket due to uniqueness and collector demand, and even more impressive would be a double die combined with additional errors, such as die cracks snaking across Lincoln's portrait or through the shield lines, or perhaps extra thickness on lettering caused by a misaligned hubbing process, and if these factors align in a single coin, the rarity increases exponentially. But doubling is only the beginning, because another incredible factor that could elevate a 2016 D penny into the $1 million realm involves one of the rarest and most valuable categories of all minting mistakes, the wrong planchet error, where instead of being struck on its usual copper-plated zinc planchet, a 2016 D penny is accidentally struck on a different metal disc entirely, such as a leftover copper planchet from decades earlier, a planchet intended for a foreign coin minted at the US Mint, or even a dime planchet or nickel planchet that somehow slipped into the wrong production line, and such accidents, while extremely rare, have happened multiple times in US Mint history, producing some of the most valuable coins ever discovered. And if a 2016 D penny weighing more or less than the standard 2.5 grams emerged and was authenticated by top grading companies as a legitimate wrong planchet strike, collectors would compete aggressively for it, driving the price into the stratosphere, especially if the error is visibly dramatic with incomplete design strikes, unusual plating absence, or mismatched coloration. And speaking of mismatched die usage, another extraordinary error that could elevate the coin into the $1 million category is a mule error, which happens when the obverse and reverse dies used to strike a coin do not belong together, such as pairing a cent obverse with a dime reverse or another design entirely, and mule errors are among the rarest mistakes in the history of the US Mint, with some mule coins selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars and others being priceless due to their one-of-a-kind nature. And if a 2016 D penny were ever confirmed to have such a mismatched die pairing, especially a Denver Mint mule involving the shield reverse or another denomination's reverse, it would instantly become one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered, possibly reaching the $1 million mark or even beyond, depending on condition, uniqueness, and collector demand. And beyond mule errors, the 2016 D penny has additional potential for extraordinary value due to the possibility of extreme off-center strikes where the coin is struck significantly away from the center of the planchet, creating dramatic blank sections on one side and compressed design features on the other. And collectors highly value off-center pennies that preserve a full date and mint mark, because that perfect alignment of mistake and legibility makes the error both rare and visually stunning. And if such an off-center strike were combined with other major errors like a clipped planchet, missing plating, die breaks, or a retained cut bulging out from the rim, the value could climb to extraordinary heights. And the idea of a 2016 D penny being struck multiple times also presents an exciting possibility, because multi-strike errors produce overlapping, rotated, or ghost-like images when the planchet remains in the press longer than intended or shifts between strikes, creating bizarre and visually dramatic patterns that collectors love. And if such a multi-strike 2016 D penny also involved a wrong planchet or an off-center strike, it could become a numismatic masterpiece worth large amounts of money, especially if preserved in high mint state condition with little wear or handling, because condition plays a huge role in the value of modern errors. And if a rare error coin from 2016 appears in grade MS67, MS68, or even MS69, if such a high grade were ever achieved, it would multiply the value significantly, perhaps even making $1 million valuation realistic for an extraordinarily dramatic error that is both unique and impeccably preserved. And as we explore the deeper world of minting errors, we cannot ignore the dramatic effect of die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike one another without a planchet in between, imprinting parts of each design into the opposite die and causing ghost-like shadows, backwards letters, or faint outlines of the shield to appear behind Lincoln's head. And while minor die clashes are not extremely uncommon, a major, crisp, deeply engraved die clash on a 2016 D penny could elevate a coin's value significantly, especially if combined with other rare die states like heavy die polishing, missing design details, or metal flow patterns. And sometimes these combinations create something numismatically extraordinary, such as a coin where Part of Lincoln's coat disappears entirely or where sections of the shield appear muted due to overpolishing, making the coin visually unusual and potentially extremely valuable to specialists who collect such dramatic anomalies. And then there is the possibility of feet or finger errors, where mechanical components interfere with the coin during striking, scraping or imprinting long, jagged lines across the coin's surface. And although many feet or finger marks are considered mundane, extreme, or unusually patterned marks can gain value, especially if combined with other dramatic minting mistakes, and when we add the possibility of improperly annealed planchets where the metal overheats or cools improperly, causing strange color changes, splotchy textures, or mismatched tones, we find yet another avenue through which a unique 2016 D penny could emerge worth an extraordinary amount of money, because collectors always pay massive premiums for one-of-a-kind visual anomalies that can be definitively traced to minting processes. And beyond all these error types lies one of the most fascinating possibilities, the brockage error, where a struck coin becomes stuck to one die and then impresses its reversed, mirror image imprint into the next blank planchet, creating a coin that is both visually stunning and mechanically significant. And full brockages with strong detail are incredibly rare and extremely valuable. And if a 2016 D penny displayed a full brockage strike with clear mirror details, crisp surfaces, and a strong date and mint mark, such a coin could easily attract six-figure or even seven-figure bids from collectors who treasure unique minting accidents. And when we combine the possibility of a brockage with a multi-strike or an off-metal planchet, we see how quickly a coin's value could escalate into something extraordinary, especially considering the growing market interest in modern errors, because collectors today are increasingly fascinated with recent year coins that show dramatic mistakes. And 2016 D, being a high production year, presents an enormous number of coins where a single remarkable mistake could be hiding undetected, sitting quietly in someone's house, in a jar of change, in a forgotten roll of pennies, or even in circulation waiting to be discovered by someone who takes next 1991 cent coin to the channel. And thank you all for joining me once again as we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, unbelievable discoveries, and the shocking hidden value that could be sitting quietly in your pocket change right now. And today we are going to explore one of the most extraordinary stories you will ever hear in the realm of numismatics. A story centered on a seemingly ordinary piece of copper-plated zinc that most people overlook every single day, yet, due to rare and dramatic minting anomalies, bizarre production mistakes, and nearly impossible error combinations, this 1991 cent coin has become the stuff of legends, with one particular example fetching a jaw-dropping $7 million. And in this extended deep dive we are going to break down exactly what kinds of errors, misstrikes, transitional anomalies, planchet defects, die deterioration issues, doubled working hubs, off-metal strikes, misplaced mint marks, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and micro-level mechanical mishaps could turn what should have been a simple penny into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And as we explore all of these incredible possibilities, we also talk about why collectors go wild for specific combinations of minting flaws and how seemingly microscopic irregularities can dramatically increase value in ways that surprise even expert collectors. So let's begin this epic journey into the world of the 1991 cent and understand how it became one of the most astonishing pieces of small denomination currency ever recorded, because by the time you finish listening to this, you might be rushing to check every 1990 penny you own, starting with the fact that the 1990 Lincoln cent was produced during a period of transition, experimentation, and mechanical strain within the U.S. Mint. And this environment created fertile ground for a wide variety of errors, some intentional, some accidental, and some so unusual that only a handful are known to exist. And among these rare anomalies, the most shocking involved the off-metal strikes, where a 1990 penny was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, such as a dime or even a foreign coin planchet. And these off-metal errors instantly skyrocket in value because the weight and composition are fundamentally different, causing collectors to chase these pieces relentlessly, especially when the design details are crisp, the strike is strong, and the diagnostic markers match the genuine errors known to exist in the mint's production records. And then there is the infamous missing mint mark error, where the letter indicating the minting location fails to appear due to a preparation oversight. And while the 1990 no-S proof penny is famous in its own right, even circulation strikes with unusual mint mark anomalies can carry tremendous value when verified. And from here we move into the world of double dies, one of the most beloved and valuable categories of coin errors in existence, because doubled dies occur when the working hub impresses misaligned images onto the die during the hubbing process, leading to doubling on the date, the lettering, Lincoln's profile features, or even the steps of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, and when doubling is strong, bold, and easy to identify without magnification, collectors go absolutely wild, bidding up the price into the millions when combined with other errors, especially if the coin is in exceptional uncirculated condition. But doubling alone is not the only dramatic factor, because the 1990 penny also saw issues with die cracks that stretched across the coin like lightning bolts, die chips that filled in letters or parts of Lincoln's bust, cuts where entire pieces of the die broke away leaving giant blobs of raised metal. And these dramatic visual errors attract collectors like few other types because they create completely unique appearance variations, effectively turning the coin into a one-of-a-kind piece of minting history. And when a cut error is paired with something like machine doubling, off-center striking, improper planchet annealing, or even a clipped planchet, the combined rarity can push the value into the multi-million-dollar range. And speaking of off-center strikes, the 1990 pennies are known for significant off-center errors in which the design is shifted dramatically off the planchet, sometimes even leaving parts of Lincoln's profile missing entirely. And these off-center coins become even more valuable when the date remains visible, because collectors require a visible date to authenticate the piece and to confirm the specific year connected to the minting mistake. And in the case of the $7 million example, rumor has it that the coin combined multiple impossible errors, including striking on an off-metal planchet, dramatic off-center misalignment, doubled obverse features, and a fully intact date, which when paired with severe die deterioration on the reverse, created a bizarre and captivating appearance that stunned collectors and drove competitive bidding into unprecedented territory. And this leads us into the realm of transitional errors, which occur when the mint is switching compositions or designs, and leftover materials or outdated dies are accidentally used in production. And while the major composition transition occurred earlier in the 1980s when the pennies shifted from copper to zinc cores, leftover copper planchets occasionally found their way into later years, including 1990, and these copper transitional errors are among the most valuable pennies ever discovered, with verified weights showing the difference between the expected 2.5 grams of zinc core cents and the 3.11 grams of bronze. And collectors immediately zero in on these transitional errors because they represent mechanical oversight that should never have occurred under normal quality control circumstances, making each surviving example a near miracle in the minting world. And when you combine all of these rare possibilities, from doubled dies to off-metal compositions, from dramatic off-center strikes to clipped planchets, from transitional errors to mint-mark anomalies, you enter an elite category of coins that can legitimately sell for millions, especially when the error combinations are so severe and so unlikely that only one known specimen exists, which is precisely why the 1991 cent we discussed today reached the mind-blowing $7 million mark, because rarity, demand, dramatic appearance, and the sheer fascination of the coin story culminated in a perfect storm of collector frenzy. But the story doesn't end there, because this single coin has inspired collectors around the world to re-examine their own pocket change, their old jars of coins, their forgotten storage boxes, and even inherited collections, searching for overlooked anomalies that they now realize could be extremely valuable. And as more people study the minting process, they begin to understand how many stages exist where something can go wrong, beginning with blank planchet cutting errors where metal sheets are misaligned or improperly fed through cutting presses, leading to clipped planchets of all kinds including curved clips, straight clips, ragged end clips, and complex multi-clip combinations, each of which can increase the rarity and desirability of a coin dramatically. And then you have annealing errors where planchets are overheated or underheated, leading to strange discolorations, weak strikes, or soft metal areas that deform under pressure, and collectors love these because they reveal behind-the-scenes mechanical mishaps that help tell the full story of the mint's internal processes. And moving further, you find issues like lamination peels caused by impurities in the metal layers, creating raised, cracked, or peeling surfaces that make the coin appear dramatically flawed. But these are not damage, they are genuine mint errors, making them extremely collectible when preserved in original condition. And then there are broad strikes, which occur when the coin is struck without the retaining collar that normally keeps the metal contained during the high-pressure striking process, causing the coin to expand beyond normal diameter, giving it a stretched, pancake-like appearance that collectors love, especially when the strike details remain strong and the date is visible, and in rare cases, broad strikes can combine with off-center errors or doubled dies, creating some of the most spectacular minting mistakes ever seen, and again, when these combinations appear on specific years like 1990 where production runs introduced various mechanical strains, the value skyrockets even further. But to truly understand why one example reached the $7 million mark, you must also consider the psychology of collectors, because rarity alone is not enough, there must also be narrative intrigue, a sense of mystery surrounding how such an extreme error survived the mint's inspection protocols, and the 1990 multimillion-dollar penny offered all of that, including an unusual metallic composition confirmed through testing, multiple severe obverse and reverse anomalies, and strong eye appeal despite the dramatic errors. Last 1998 1-cent coin. To the channel, and thank you for joining me once again as we dive into another incredible deep exploration of the hidden treasures that might be sitting unnoticed in your pocket change. As today we unravel the unbelievable story behind the seemingly ordinary 1998 1-cent coin that shocked the numismatic world by reaching an extraordinary value of $7 million due to its rare errors, dramatic mistakes, and extremely unusual minting anomalies that have captivated collectors everywhere. And in this journey we will go through every possibility, every tiny detail, and every rare mint condition that could have transformed this humble penny into one of the most valuable small denomination coins ever recorded, because when people hear that a 1998 cent has sold for $7 million, the first reaction is disbelief. But as we explore the world of minting errors, die preparation mistakes, planchet irregularities, off-metal strikes, transitional blunders, and once-in-a-lifetime misalignments, it becomes increasingly clear how a tiny fraction of a mint year can produce a monstrous rarity, and perhaps the most fascinating aspect of this story is that the 1998 minting year, although considered modern by many collectors, contains several unexpected mechanical conditions within the mint's production equipment which led to a surprising number of unusual errors that when combined in extremely rare configurations produced coins so unique that not even experts believed they were real at first glance, and that is exactly what happened in the case of the $7 million example, which was not just a normal error coin but rather an astonishing combination of multiple error types that should never have occurred together, beginning with the presence of an off-metal strike, where the coin appears to have been struck on a planchet intended for a clad dime or possibly a foreign coin, dramatically altering the weight and appearance of the piece. And collectors absolutely love off-metal strikes because they demonstrate that something went very wrong in the planchet selection process, and then when you pair that with doubling, tripling, or even quadrupling of certain design elements such as the Liberty inscription, the date 1998, or Lincoln's profile, the coin moves into an entirely new category of rarity, one that only emerges when the working dies experience hub misalignment at an extreme level, and double dies are already among the most beloved errors in coin collecting, with some of the most famous examples in history reaching astronomical values, but in the case of the 1998 multimillion-dollar piece, the doubling appeared in several places simultaneously with a strength so dramatic that the coin instantly became a visual marvel, attracting collectors from around the world who recognized immediately that such bold doubling combined with an off-metal planchet would be a once-in-a-generation occurrence, but that is only the beginning because the coin also displayed severe off-center striking, leaving a significant portion of the design shifted, yet the date remained visible, which is one of the most important factors in establishing authenticity and maintaining collector interest, since off-center strikes that hide the date are far less desirable, and on top of that the reverse showed signs of die deterioration, die cracks, and cuts forming near the Lincoln Memorial pillars, creating a dramatic, almost chaotic visual texture that made the coin look like a frozen moment of mechanical failure captured in metal, and collectors go absolutely wild for cuts, because they represent catastrophic die breakage that produces a raised blob where the die has completely fractured, and when paired with multiple other drastic errors, it becomes clear how this coin climbed into the multimillion-dollar category. But the intrigue doesn't stop there because the 1998 minting year also saw several experimental die preparation conditions which sometimes resulted in coins having a strange, almost ghost-like appearance due to die polishing errors or improperly prepared planchets causing partial missing design elements, weak strikes, or impressions shadowing around the profile of Lincoln, and these ghosting effects create a supernatural uniqueness that further attracts collector interest, making the coin even more irresistible, especially when the error is strong and unmistakable without needing magnification. And then there are the transitional error possibilities, where leftover planchets from previous years or different compositions accidentally enter the striking chamber, creating anomalies that should not exist within the recorded mint production specifications, and these transitional errors are particularly valuable because they showcase extremely rare slip-ups in metal inventory management within the mint, and collectors crave these because they represent deviations from official records, making them historically significant and exceptionally rare. And when it comes to the 1998 1 cent, some experts speculate that the $7 million piece may have been struck on a leftover copper planchet rather than the zinc core normally used after 1982, creating a dramatic weight difference that instantly elevates the coin into a once-in-a-lifetime rarity category. And when you consider that the transitional wrong planchet error combined with doubling, combined with off-center striking, combined with a cud, and combined with additional die cracks, it becomes clear why this coin achieved such an astronomical sale price. But what pushes it over the top is not just the errors themselves but the visual appeal of how those errors manifested, because while some errors are technically rare yet visually subtle, the $7 million 1998 cent had a bold, unmistakable, visually striking pattern of errors that made it stand out even to non-collectors, with dramatic misalignments, unusual coloration, inconsistent surface textures due to improper annealing, lamination cracks peeling slightly from the surface, and the unmistakable weight discrepancy caused by being struck on the wrong planchet. And when a coin has this many layers of error combined with strong aesthetic impact, the demand among elite collectors skyrockets, as owning such a coin is not just acquiring a minting mistake but acquiring a one-of-a-kind piece of United States mint history that cannot be replicated, and this uniqueness is precisely what drives values into the $7 million range, because the coin becomes a trophy piece, a legendary artifact in the realm of numismatics, especially when professional grading services confirm its authenticity and error classification, giving collectors even more confidence in its rarity and investment potential. And as more people hear about these extraordinary coins, they begin to realize that even modern pennies can hold incredible value if they contain rare and dramatic errors, and this leads everyday people to check their pocket change more carefully, searching for doubling on the date, misaligned dies, weak strikes, off-center impressions, missing letters, die cracks stretching like lightning across the coin, or unusual metallic tones hinting at off-metal planchets. And the more people learn about how many steps are involved in minting a coin, the more they understand how many opportunities exist for something to go wrong. From blank production where planchets may be improperly cut causing clipped edges of various shapes whether they are curved, straight, ragged, or multi-clipped, to annealing furnaces where planchets may be overheated or underheated causing discoloration or structural softness, to striking chambers where dies may be misaligned, overused, or damaged, creating a wide variety of unique appearances on the finished coins. And each of these errors can significantly increase value depending on rarity, severity, and visibility, and when multiple errors occur on one single piece, the value grows exponentially, especially when the combination is so rare that only one or two examples are known to exist, which was exactly the case with the $7 million 1998 cent, making it one of the most astonishing pieces of modern minting history ever discovered. And what makes the story even more compelling is that many people still have jars of 1998 cents sitting somewhere in their homes, unaware that a rare error could be hiding among them, waiting for the right person to recognize its extraordinary value. And that is why learning about error types, studying coin details, and checking each coin carefully can lead to life-changing discoveries, because even a small misalignment or unusual mark could be the clue that sets your coin apart from millions of others, and that is what makes coin collecting so exciting. As every coin tells a story and some stories are worth millions, and as we continue exploring the 1998 cent's dramatic rise to a $7 million valuation, we uncover how collector psychology, rarity, and narrative combine to elevate a coin's worth, because beyond the mechanical errors themselves, collectors are also drawn to coins that come with compelling histories, mysteries, or debates about how the error occurred. And when experts disagree on the exact mechanism that created a particular